Okay, I'm gonna share with you another dream. Uh, wasn't much to the dream though, but the point that it uh, implied is very interesting. I had this dream one time where like everything in the dream was fuzzy. Uh, like I didn't couldn't tell what was in the background or whatever, but all I saw was two people, and one person did something, and it offended the other person. Um, and I understood that we were in heaven. And it was very interesting because even though they did something that offended the other person, uh, you know, a fight didn't break out. um, I don't know, but a friend of mine told me this story, and this story is like it's it's like exactly what I dreamed about. Um, but she said that one time she was moving, and a friend of hers was carrying a box full of like sentimental stuff, like some snow globes were in there and some different glass things and stuff that had sentimental value, in her heart. And they dropped it. They accidentally dropped it, and the snow globes broke, and there was like snow water all over the place and everything. And like her heart was just like, oh, man, this, you know. But the person apologized for doing this, but um, it brings up an interesting point. Jesus said it's impossible that offenses would come. And don't you know that means for the rest of eternity? You think that through the rest of eternity, when we're traveling to other worlds and, you know, maybe building new houses and things like that, and we're moving and somebody drops your snow globes, you think that's not possible? No, it's impossible that offenses would not come. And that's for the rest of eternity. But the question is, can we be trusted? For sin never to rise up a second time, for a fight never to break out a second time. Can we be trusted? Here's an interesting thought. Okay, why does the Bible call God the Lord of hosts? Just think about that, hosts. For the rest of eternity, we're going to be traveling other planets, and we're going to be going to places where their customs and the way they live are completely different than anything we've ever experienced. And they may even have customs that we don't understand. And the question is, can we be trusted never to turn our nose up at somebody that's different than us? Never to turn our nose up at a stranger? Can we be trusted? Because then a fight could break out and sin would rise up a second time. And that's really what this is all about. Do we have a heart to where we don't only love those people that love us, we don't only love those people that are like us, but we love everybody? I mean, where was Jesus? Jesus was with the prostitutes and the worst sinners in society. I mean, but where's the church? The church says, okay, if you clean yourself up, then you can come into our church. Or if you start thinking like we do, then you can come stay with us. They're not good hosts. That's why Jesus said, the prostitutes and the sinners are going to make it to heaven before you do. The church, they're just like Ham, Noah's son. Noah, right after he came off the ark, he's homeless. Everything's destroyed. All the people were dead except for his family. And he gets drunk. He had a heavy heart. He gets drunk, passed out naked in his tent. And what does his son do? His son comes in and sees him passed out naked, drunk, and turns his nose up and just walks out. His son Ham is just like the church today. They would turn their nose up at a prophet. They would turn their nose up at Jesus. If Jesus lived today and he was with the harlots and the sinners, they would turn their nose up at him. And that's why God's people have been the Gentiles all along. Okay, so let me read from the book of Isaiah, chapter 58. It says in verse 9, it says, if you take away the yoke from your midst, the pointing of the finger and speaking wickedness, pointing of the finger. The church does do that a lot, don't they? If you take away the yoke from your midst, the pointing of the finger and speaking wickedness, if you extend your soul to the hungry and satisfy the afflicted soul, then your light shall dawn in the darkness, and your darkness shall be as the noonday. Wait a minute. If you extend your soul to the hungry and satisfy the afflicted soul. But that guy's hungry because he's a dope fiend, and he's a dope fiend. That's why the church won't help him. Let me back up a few verses. In verse 6 it says, is this not the fast that I have chosen, to loose the bonds of wickedness and to undo the heavy burdens, and let the oppressed go free, and that you break every yoke? Is it not to share your bread with the hungry, and that you bring to your house the poor who are cast out? When you see the naked, that you cover him, and not hide yourself from your own flesh. Wait a minute. That's the exact same thing as what I was just talking about with Noah. The church is just like Ham. If they saw a prophet drunk, passed out naked in his tent, they'd turn their nose up and walk away. And they'd point their finger. Because that's what they do. But this chapter in Isaiah 58, it's all about the Sabbath. It's all about broken relationships. It's all about burnt bridges. It's all about restoring those burnt bridges, rebuilding those burnt bridges. It's all about family. And it says in verse 12, it says, those from among you shall build the old waste places. You shall raise up the foundations of many generations, and you shall be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of streets to dwell in. If you turn away your foot from the Sabbath, and from doing your pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight, a holy day of the Lord, and honorable, and shall honor him, not doing your own ways, nor finding your own pleasure, nor speaking your own words, then you shall delight yourself in the Lord, and I will cause you to ride on the high hills of the earth, and feed you with the heritage of Jacob your father. The mouth of the Lord has spoken. But here's where we have the problem. We don't restore those broken relationships. We point the finger. We don't help the fatherless. We say, oh, he's got issues. He could help himself, but he chooses not to. The Sabbath needs to be restored. The Sabbath was a vaccination for a perfect world. If we took that one day, the seventh day, and we pushed all other things aside and spent time with family and spent time growing a heart, then sin won't rise up a second time.